You ever wake up in the dead of night, heart pounding like a jackhammer, convinced something's out there in the dark slithering closer? Not just a bad dream, but real, bone-chilling real. Well, folks, let me tell you, this ain't no tall tale spun from too much moonshine. This is the story of Chaba, a Hadza man from the wild heart of Tanzania, who stared down death itself in the form of a python big as a damn pickup truck, and how he lived to laugh about it. Well, that's the part that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about grit, luck, and that unbreakable human spark. Stick with me, 'cause we're going deep into the bush, where the stars hang low and the night don't forgive. Picture this, it's the dry season in the Hadza lands, that stretch of acacia-dotted savanna where the earth cracks like old leather under the relentless African sun. The Hadza, they're the last of the old hunter-gatherers, you know. No farms, no fences, just them and the land, like something out of a National Geographic special, but way more raw. They've been roaming these parts for 10,000 years, maybe more, living off honey from wild hives, tubers dug with sharpened sticks, and game they track with eyes sharper than a hawk's. No Walmart runs for 'em, just the rhythm of the hunt, the fire's glow, and stories passed down like heirlooms. Chaba, he was one of the quiet ones, mid-40s, wiry as a fence post, with skin baked dark by the sun and a smile that crinkled his eyes like weathered riverbeds. Not the loud chief type, no, Chaba was the guy who'd spot a dictic antelope from half a mile off, arrow knocked before you could say Bob's your uncle. He had that Hadza way about him, patient, like the land itself. Married to a woman named Lemma, sharp-tongued and quicker with a laugh than anyone I ever heard tell of. They had 3 kids, 2 boys testing their bows on hares, and a little girl, Nia, who could climb baobab trees like a monkey on caffeine. Life for the Hadza ain't easy, but it's free in a way us desk jockeys in the States can only dream of. No 9-to-5 grind, no traffic jams on the I-95. Just wake with the dawn, shake off the dew from your grass sleeping mat, and head out. Chaba's camp was a loose cluster of dome-shaped huts made from branches and elephant grass, tucked under a kopje, a big old granite outcrop that jutted up like God's own thumb. Smoke from last night's fire still lingered, carrying the scent of roasted impala and wild greens. The air hummed with cicadas, that endless buzz that drive a city boy nuts, but to Chaba, it was home. That night, oh man, that night started ordinary as a Tuesday potluck. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in those fiery oranges and purples that make you pull over on a desert highway just to stare. The band, about 30 souls strong, gathered round the fire. Elders like old Quito, with his one good eye and tailies taller than the giraffes, strummed a thumb piano made from a gourd and wire scavenged from some long-gone safari truck. Kids chased fireflies, their giggles mixing with the pop of embers. Lemma stirred a pot of baobab leaf stew, spiced with termites they'd roasted like popcorn. Chaba, he was sharpening arrowheads, his calloused hands moving steady, while Nia perched on his knee, braiding his hair with bits of ostrich feather. As the stars wheeled out, Southern Cross winking like it knew a secret, the group wound down. Bellies full, they banked the fire low, just enough glow to ward off the chill that sneaks in after sunset. Chaba kissed Lemma's forehead, whispered something that made her chuckle soft, then rolled out his sleeping mat under the open sky. No tent, no screens, just a thin blanket of animal hide against the red dirt. The Hadza sleep light, always have. Ears tuned to the night's symphony, hyena whoops echoing from the ridge, the rustle of bush barbies in the thorn scrub, the occasional grunt of a hippo down by the river. It's a lullaby of danger, but one they've sung since their ancestors painted caves with handprints. Chaba drifted off easy, breath steady, dreams probably wandering to the honey trees he'd raid come morning. The moon hung fat and silver, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts across the camp. Everything quiet, save for the soft snores of his bandmates and the distant call of a nightjar, that bird with a voice like a creaky door. But out there in the inky black beyond the fire's reach, something else was stirring. Not a lion's roar or elephant's trumpet, no, this was quieter, more patient. A python, folks. A rock python to be exact. African rock pythons are monsters, can stretch 20 feet if they're feeling boastful, thick as a man's thigh, scales glinting like polished mahogany in the moonlight. This one, she'd been hunting slow that day, slithering through the grasslands, coils leaving faint trails in the dust. She'd taken down a young warthog the week before, but hunger's a cruel master. Smelling the camp's warmth, the easy prey of sleeping bodies, she ghosted closer. Silent as sin, belly scrapping the earth, tongue flicking, the air to taste fear she hadn't earned yet. Pythons don't strike like vipers, they're ambush artists patient as a taxman. This gal, let's call her Coils for now, slid past the huts, eyes like burnished copper fixin' on Chaba's form. He lay on his side, one arm pillowed under his head, chest risen and fallen easy. Perfect. Vulnerable. To her he wasn't a father, a hunter, a man with stories etched in his scars. Just meat. Warm, wriggling meat. She started at his feet, slow, methodical, coils loosening from her bulk looping, round his ankles like a lover's promise gone wrong. Chaba stirred a bit, maybe felt the cool slide against his skin, but the fire's dying embers and the night's weight kept him under. Inch by inch she worked up, muscles rippling under scales that rasped faint against the dirt. His calves, his knees, thighs, each loop tighter than the last, not crushing, yet just testing. Pythons squeeze to still the heart, you see. Cut off the breath slow, let panic do the rest. Now here's where it gets real, friends. Chaba's eyes snapped open. Not with a yell, Hadza don't waste breath on screams. No, it was that hunter's instinct, honed from a lifetime dodging leopards and tracking ghosts in the grass. He felt it first in his gut, that cold twist, like divin, into an icy Ozark creek on a dare. Then the pressure, his legs pinned, heavy as sin. Moonlight caught the glint of scales, and there she was. Coils pillin' up his torso now, head rearing back, jaws unhinging like a nightmare yawn. Panic, sure, it hit him like a freight train, heart slamming against his ribs, breath catching sharp. But Chaba he didn't thrash. Thrashing gets you dead faster. Instead he went still. Eyes locked on hers, wide and unblinking. In that split second, time stretched like taffy at a county fair. He thought of Lemma, her laugh echoing in his ears. Nia with her tiny hands clutching his thumb. The boys waiting for dawn to learn the bow. Not tonight, he thought. Not like this. Wisey, that's the thing about fear. It don't just freeze you. It lights a fire too. For Chaba, it was a spark from his grandfather's stories. The ones about spirits in the rocks, ancestors watching from the stars. Hadza believed the land's alive, full of sorrow, that luck, that edge you can't buy. And in that moment, lying there with death winding tighter, Chaba felt it. Not rage, not despair. Hope. Stubborn, bull-headed hope. The kind that built this country of ours from log cabins to skyscrapers. His first move, subtle. He flexed his toes, testing the give in those coils. Tight but not locked. Pythons need leverage to squeeze. Smooth scales on dirt don't grip like tree bark. Chaba's camp was on a slope, gentle but there, the ground firmer under his shoulders than his heels. He rocked, just a fraction, using his core like he'd draw a bowstring. The python sensed it, head darting, forward, fangs bared, but no strike yet. She was committed now, jaws stretching wide, aiming for his head. That's when the unbelievable kicked in. Not some Hollywood miracle, no divine intervention or magic dagger. Just Chaba, Bane Chaba, he twisted hard, throwing his weight downslope. The coil slipped just an inch, but enough. His right arm, pinned loose, shot free. Grabbing a fistful of dirt, he flung it straight into her eyes. Grit and dust, like throwing sand in a bar fight back in Tulsa. She recoiled, blinking, furious, that split-second buying him air. Now the camp stirred. A murmur from the huts, Lemma's voice, sleepy but sharp. Chaba. The fire popped, sending sparks skyward like praying embers. But Chaba didn't call out, not yet. He needed more. With his free hand, he clawed at the ground, fingers digging for anything. A rock, a root, hell, even a scorpion do. There, a jagged stone, fist-sized, half-buried like it had been waiting. He gripped it, knuckles white, and swung. Crack, the stone connected with her skull, not a kill shot, but a stunner. Pythons are tough, skull like a coconut, but it dazed her, coils loosening just a hair. Chaba bucked then, using every ounce of that hunter's strength, rolling free enough to get his knees under him. The python thrashed, tail whipping wild, knocking over a water gourd that shattered like bad luck. Lemma was there now, bursting from her hut with a spear, improvised from a branch and fire-hardened tip. Shuma, she yelled, that snake in their tongue laced with fire. Other men roused, grabbing bows and rocks, the camp erupting into chaos lit by moonlight. But Chaba, he was already moving. On his feet, half-coiled still, he stomped down on the snake's body, pinning a loop while his free hand yanked at the rest. It was a tangle of man and monster, sweat slicking his skin, breath common in gasps. The band closed in, arrows whistling past, thudding into earth but missing the mark in the dark. Keto, the elder, chanted low, calling on the spirits. Enaya, Enaya, begging the land to turn. Nia wailed from her mother's arms, that sound cutting deeper than any fang. and Chaba fought not with fury, but with that quiet ferocity, like a farmer wrestling a twister in Kansas flatlands. Minutes felt like hours. The python's strength waned, she'd burned it coiling tight, but she wasn't done. One last surge, jaws snapping inches from Chaba's thigh. He dodged, tripping back, and that's when Lemma struck true. Her spear plunged deep, pinioning the head to the dirt. A gurgle, a twitch, and then stillness. The camp fell quiet, save for heavy breaths and the night's returning chorus. Chaba collapsed to his knees, chest heaving, blood trickling from a scrape on his arm where scales had raked. Lemma dropped beside him, pulling him close, her hands checking for breaks, for bites. "You're a fool," she whispered, but her voice cracked with relief, tears mixing with the dust on her cheeks. The kids piled on, near burying her face in his chest, sobbing soft. Keto nodded slow, muttering about sorrow, that luck from the ancestors. They dragged the python off then, 18 feet of it, thick and heavy, enough meat to feed the band for days. But it wasn't triumph, not yet, just survival, raw and ragged. As dawn crept in, painting the sky pink like cotton candy at the state fair, Chaba sat by the rekindled fire, staring into the flames. His hands shook not from fear now, but from the echo of it. What if, he thought, what if he'd slept deeper, what if the slope hadn't been there? Life's fragile as a soap bubble, poppin' when you least expect. But here's the beauty, y'all, the Hadza way, they don't dwell. By mid-morning, the snake was skinned, chunks roasting over the coals, the air thick with that earthy sizzle. Stories flew like sparks, how Chaba's grandpa once wrestled a croc in the shallows, how the python's eyes had glowed like evil stars. Laughter bubbled up, chasing the shadows. Chaba held near close, telling her, "See, little one, even the big ones fall." And in his eyes, that hope flickered brighter, a lesson etched deep. The bush gives, but it takes. You meet it head-on, with family at your back, and you walk away changed. As the sun climbed high, the band packed light, mats rolled, bows slung, and moved on. That's Hadza life, no roots, just rhythms. Chaba glanced back at the copy once, the spot where death had danced. It looked the same, but he didn't. Stronger, maybe, wiser, and as they melted into the heat haze, heading for sweeter hunting grounds, you could almost hear it, the land whispering back, "You're welcome here, keep common." Can you imagine whacking up to that kinda ruckus? Me, I'd be hightailing it back to my air-conditioned split level in suburban Ohio, locking the doors and calling animal control. But Chaba, he dusted off, shared a grin over python stew that tasted like victory with a side of chewy, and kept on keeping on. That's the Hadza spirit, resilient as a rusty Ford pickup that won't quit. And folks, the story don't end with the dawn. Nah, it twists like a dirt road through the Badlands, full of highs that lift your soul and lows that hit like a gut punch. So let's follow 'em. The band treks out, single file through the thorn bush, Chaba at the rear with the kids scampering ahead. The sun's already a bully, beaten down like it holds a grudge, turning the air to oven breath. Dust puffs up with every step, coating their feet in red talc that itches like sin. Baobabs loom like ancient sentinels, their trunks fat and scarred, branches clawing at the sky. In the distance, Lake Eyasi shimmers, a salty tease, mirage or not, home to flamingos that make a Vega's showgirl jealous. Chaba's mind wandered as they walked. The python's weight still ghosted his legs, a phantom ache, but gratitude swelled too, warm as fresh cornbread, for Lemma's spear arm, steady as a church deacon's, for Keto's chant, weaving protection like a quilt, and for Tsaro, that Hadza luck. Fickle as a summer storm, but sweet when it rains. He plucked a wild fig, juicy and tart, passing it to Nia. She beamed up at him, juice dribbling down her chin, and for a heartbeat, the world was right as rain. By noon they hit a good spot, a dry riverbed lined with tubers, fat as sweet potatoes. The women dug with stick and stone, hauling up roots that boil soft with honey. Men fanned out for game, Chaba and his brother-in-law Tuma, tracking kudu's spoor. Tuma was the joker of the bunch, broad as a fridge with a laugh that boomed like thunder. "Brother," he said, slapping Chaba's back, "that snake wanted a Hadza hug. You gave it a headache instead." They chuckled, bows ready, but the kudu'd ghosted, too smart for a midday chase. As the sun dipped toward afternoon tea time, hope sparked. A hive high in an acacia, buzzing like a tailgate party gone wild. Honey's the Hadza gold, sweet fire that fuels the soul. Chaba eyed the trunk, bark rough as sandpaper. "Boys," he called to his sons, "time to learn." The older Juma, 12 and all limbs, grinned fierce, stricken afire with flint and tinder. Smoke first, then flame, fed with dry grass till it billowed thick. They lit bundled torches, the acrid stink chockin', but effective. Bees swarmed mad, but Chaba climbed steady, smoke warding 'em off like holy water on vampires. Up top, the comb dripped amber, heavy with promise. He hacked chunks free with a knife, traded from a tourist years back, its blade nicked but true. Down it came, sticky bounty shared, round. Lemma smeared some on a tuber, feeding it to Near with a wink. Taste the god's own pie, little bee. The camp settled then under the tree's shade, eaten slow, savin the wax for candles later. Stories flowed, keto spinnin', one about a python spirit that guarded lost hunters, demanding riddles for passage. Chaba listened, nodding, the tale mirroring his night. Was it a sign? The elders thought so. The bush tests the worthy, Keto said, eyes twinkling. You passed, Chaba, now it owes you. That evening, as fireflies lit the dusk like 4th of July sparklers, the mood turned tender. The band danced, a loose circle, feet stomping red earth to clapping rhythms. Chaba pulled Lemma close, their steps cincin' like they'd been born to it. 20 years together through lean hunts and fat moons. She leaned in, whispering, I dreamed you gone once. Woke sweatin', he squeezed her hand. Dreams lie, I'm here. Near twirled between 'em, her giggles the sweetest music. For a spell, the python was just a scar, faddin' like a bad tattoo. But life she loves a curveball. Next morning, scouting for water, Tuma found tracks, not game but boot prints, fresh, human. The Hadza lands ain't empty, government rangers patrol, pushing for conservation. Tourists snap pics from Land Rovers, leaving trash like confetti after a parade. Worse, poachers slinking for ivory or bushmeat, guns that thunder unfair. Chaba's band skirted 'em careful, but tension crept in, thick as humidity before a twister. Days blurred, a good zebra kill, arrows flying true, meat jerkying on racks. Then rain sudden, biblical turning paths to gumbo mud. They hunkered in a cave, telling tales by torchlight. Chaba shared his python yarn, embellishing for the kids, how he'd whispered to the snake, not today, sister, and it had blushed scales red. Laughter roared, echoing off walls painted with ancient hands, ghosts of Hadza long gone, smilling approval. Yet under it a sadness stirred. Chaba felt it night starring at the Milky Way, that river of light stretching endless. The young ones, Juma and his brother, asked questions now. Father, why do the outsiders build walls? Why can't we hunt forever? Chaba had no pat answer, just truth. The world changes, sons, like seasons, we bend or we break. Empathy hit hard for his kids, fasten a future where bows might rust in museums. For the land, scarred by roads and fences. Nostalgia, too, for boyhood hunts with his own pa, when the bush felt infinite. One night, camp quiet, Chaba slipped away to the river. Moon full again, silver in the water like a mirror. He waded in, cool rush soothing old aches, and sang low, a Hadza melody, wordless and ancient, calling ancestors. Tears came then, hot and unbidden, not for fear but for the weight, surviving the python, only to fight time itself. What legacy? He murmured to the current. The water answered soft, carrying his voice downstream. Back at camp, Lemma found him at dawn, wrapped in her arms. The bush weeps with you, she said. They talked then deep, like old couples on a porch swing watching fireflies. About leaving the deep bush, maybe joining a village edge, teaching the young ones both ways. Hope flickered, a school for near, books with pictures of far lands. But lost too, trad-in stars for streetlights, silence for horns. The trek resumed, heavier now. They hit a meadow, wild onions thick as carpet, foraged plenty, but Juma twisted an ankle scampering after a hare. Chaba carried him, the boy's head on his shoulder, trust absolute. You're strong like the python, Juma mumbled. Chaba's throat tightened. Stronger, son, cause we choose it. Weeks passed in that rhythm, hunt, gather, move. A lion pride shadowed him once, eyes glowing like banked coals, but Sarrow held. A firecracking stampede sent him yowling. Joy in smalls, Nia's first arrow, nicking a lizard's tail. Sorrow in omens, a dead baobab struck by lightning, crashing like a fallen dream. Then the high came crashing. A Datoga trader camp, neighbors, herders with goats and beads. Trade flowed, honey for milk, arrows for salt. Feasts erupted, drums beaten like hearts afire. Chaba danced with strangers, Lemma's eyes proud. But in the glow, a whisper, rangers common, pushing boundaries. The band slipped away pre-dawn, hearts full but fleeting. Through it, Chaba grew. The python wasn't just survival, it was awakening. He taught more, shared deeper, held tighter. And as they crested a ridge, overlooking valleys green with promise, he felt it. Life's a coil, tightening, then releasing. Unbelievable? Yeah, but real as the dirt under your boots. All right, y'all, let's lean into this campfire glow a bit closer. We've walked with Chaba through the adrenaline haze and the honey-sweet days, felt that tug of what-ifs and wonder. But every story's got its storm clouds rollin' in, don't it? The kind that dump rain on your picnic and leave you questioning the weatherman. For Chaba, the python was the thunderclap, but the lightning strike that came slow, building like humidity before a Midwest squall. It hit the heart, not the flesh, and oh boy, it hurt something fierce. The band pushed north now, chasing the rains that greened the flats. Air smelled of wet earth and bloom, jasmine vines twisting round fever trees, birds calling flashy as a Vega's marquee. Chaba's steps lightened. The python tale had woven into legend, kids mimicking his dirt throw with pebbles. Drowan laughs like flies to syrup. Lemma teased him gentle, my hero, conqueror of ropes. He'd pull her aside, steal a kiss under a sausage tree, its fruits dangling like overripe promises. Love like that, it's the glue, ain't it? Keeps the world from unraveling. But shadows lengthened. Scouts brought word. A ranger out sprouting like weeds, fences snacking across old paths. The Hadza roamed free by treaty sorta, but papers mean squat when boots hit ground. Chaba's brow furrowed that hunters squint turning thoughtful. We go wide, he decided, veering east toward rocky hills where dik-diks hid in clefts. The move was smart, game plentiful, water from seeps, but it stretched 'em thin. Supplies dwindled, tubers scarcer in the stone. Nights round the fire turned introspective. Keto coughing more now, his one eye dimming, spun yarns of the old days, endless plains, no borders. The land was our map, he'd rasp, passing the thumb piano. Chaba listened, empathy swelling like a river in flood. For Keto, fastened the end without fanfare. For the band, caught between worlds, sticks and stars versing concrete and clocks. Nostalgia hit Chaba hard. He remembered his father's fire, stories of stars that guided like GPS before there was such a thing. Pa, he'd whisper to the smoke, how do we hold on? One dawn the low came crashing. Hunting, with Tuma, they stalked a gemsbok prize bull, horns like scimitars. Arrows flew, Chaba's struck true, but the beast charged, gored Tuma's thigh deep. Blood hot as accusation, Tuma down, roaring pain more than wound. Chaba stanched it with moss and vine, carrying his friend back miles, sweat stinging eyes. Camp mobilized, Lemma boiling herbs, women chanting healing songs that wove through the air like smoke signals. Tuma lingered days, fever burning him hollow. Chaba sat vigil, cooling his brow with river-damp cloths, telling jokes feeble as wet matches. Remember that time you tripped into the hippo wallow? Smelled like regret for a week. Tuma wheezed a laugh, but his eyes dark pools of fear. Brother, if I go, Chaba shushed him fierce. You go nowhere but the next hunt. Hope clung stubborn, but doubt gnawed, that sadness thick as grief's first wave. The band rallied, extra watches, shared rations. Nia brought Tuma a crown of feathers for the strongest warrior. Juma carved a tiny bow from acacia, presenting it shy. Even Keto hobbled over, laying hands on the wound, murmuring blessings old as dust. Through it, Chaba learned deeper, survival ain't solo. It's the knot of hands, the shared breath. American as apple pie, really, that neighbor helping neighbor grit, from barn raisins in Amish country to block parties in Brooklyn. Tuma pulled through slow as molasses. Scar puckered like a bad weld, but he walked again, leaner, wiser. Oh, you brother, he grunted, clapping Chaba's shoulder. Relief washed sweet hugs all round, a feast of foraged berries and roasted lizard that tasted like miracle. The high sword dances wilder, songs louder, the fire leaping like it celebrated too. Chaba held Lemma close that night, her head on his chest. We're unbreakable, he murmured. She traced his python scar. Bendy, maybe. But yeah. Emboldened, they pressed on, cresting a plateau where the world unfolded vast. Savannah rolling to horizon, herds dotting it like sprinkles on a Sunday. Game exploded, zebras stripping in black-white herds, giraffes nibbling treetops graceful as ballerinas. Chaba led a big hunt, the band in formation, silent as shadows. Arrows whispered death, a Grant's gazelle down, clean kill. Meat aplenty, hides for mats, bones for tools. Joy pure, primal kids whooping, women ululatin like victory sirens. In the afterglow, stories deepened. Chaba opened up at the python's true terror, not the coils, but the stillness before. Felt the ancestors there, he said, voice low, pushing back. Keto nodded. Sarah's family, boy, blood and bone. Empathy rippled each Sharon brushes with death. Lemma's croc scaring youth, Tuma's lion maulin'. Bonds tightened, that Hadza weaves strong as spider silk. But the horizon darkened again. Ranger jeeps growled distant, dust plumes like accusing fingers, whispers of relocation, protected areas that caged the free. Chaba's heart sank, nostalgia crashing like waves on Oregon coast. For the trails his feet knew blind, the hives that sang his name. Sadness for Nia, who might never taste unbridled bush. What world we leave in? He asked Lemma one twilight, stars pricking the fade. She squeezed his hand. Hours to fight for, softly. Hope kindled, plans hatched. Ally with NGOs, voices for the voiceless. Letters to far cities where suits might listen. Unbelievable, from bows to bureaucracy, but Chaba saw it. His python grit turned outward. Then the gut wrench, Quito's passin'. Quiet in sleep under full moon that wept silver. No rattle, just gone like mist burning off. The camp stilled, a hush deeper than grave. Chaba found him at dawn, body cool, thumb piano clutched like a talisman. Grief hit tidal, sobs wrenched from bellies, wails carrying miles. Chaba keened longest, rockin' like a child, memories floodin'. Quito's tailies, his nod of pride after first kills. Burial was Hadza simple. Wrapped in hide, laid in a cleft high on the copy, fasten east to sunrise. Songs rose, mournful harmonies that twisted the heart. Go gentle, old one, Chaba choked. Save a story for us. The band lingered days, fires low, shar in silence. Loss carved deep, but in it legacy, Quito's wisdom in their veins, his luck in their steps. Through tears, high glimmers. Quito'd left the piano to Chaba, sing for us now. First notes shaky, but they steadied, callin' the band close. Hope reborn, in music, in memory. They moved on, lighter for the load shared, Quito's spirit trailin' like a kind ghost. Challenges piled, a drought pocket, springs dry as chalk. They rationed, innovated, digging deep for water, traddin' with Datoga for gourds. Juma's ankle healed strong, he brought down his first hair arrow straight as truth. Pride swelled Chaba's chest. My boy, he beamed, rufflin' hair. Nia, ever curious, named stars after Quito, pointing them out nightly. Yet the rangers closed in, a patrol, polite but firm, mapping lines on paper that ignored footprints. Chaba spoke for the band, voice steady. This land raised us, it don't need savin from us. The officer, a young Tanzanian, eyes conflicted, nodded slow. Times change, friend. No blows, but the chill lingered, a low hum of unease. In that tension, Chaba's unbelievable edge shone. He rallied, extra scouts, hidden paths, songs of defiance soft-sung. Family anchored him, Lemma's fire, kids light. One evening, as thunder grumbled promise, he gathered 'em. The python taught me fight smart, hold tight. We're Hadza, we endure. Nods rippled, eyes fierce. The high, electric, a vow sealed in dust and dusk. Here we are, friends, the fire's dying low. Embers glowing like secrets about to spill. We've journeyed with Chaba from python's grip to grief's shadow, tasted the sweet and swallowed the bitter. Now as the night wraps gentle, let's bring it home. Cause stories like this, they don't just end. They circle back, leaving you wiser, maybe a little softer round the edges. Chaba's tale crests here, in highs that heal and a close that lingers like your grandma's hug. The band wove south again, monsoon greens fadding to gold stubble. Air crispin, hintin' cool. Chaba carried Quito's piano, strumming it on marches, notes dancing with wind, keeping the elder close. Loss ached less now, transmuted to fuel like coal to diamond. Tuma thigh scar badge joked freer, next snake we invite for supper. Laughter healed, stitch by stitch. A jackpot hunt lifted 'em, ostrich flock, feathers flashing like runway models. Chaba's arrow felled a hen, eggs bonus bounty. Camp erupted, omelets sizzling, plumes for headdresses. Nia strutted in one, queen of the bush. Juma drummed rhythms on a hollow log, pulling dances wild. High pure, joyful bodies moving free, sweat sheening under stars. Chaba twirled Lemma, her eyes sparkling like Lake Eyasi at dawn. This, he breathed, this is why. The world intruded, soft as a sigh. Travelers, NGO folks, land cruiser dusty, accents crisp as fresh bills. Not rangers, but allies, anthropologists with notebooks, dreaming preservation. They sat fireside, sharing tea from thermoses, listening in to Chaba's yarn. Your story's power, one said, a woman with kind eyes and a braid like Lemma's. Tell it wide, voices for the voiceless. Hope ignited, cameras rolled, words captured. Chaba spoke raw, python's chill, Quito's ghost, the land's pulse. We're not relics, he finished. We're alive, let us stay. They left maps, promises, advocacy in Dar es Salaam, grants for schools. Chaba pondered it, staring at the papers by firelight. Change, scary as jumping a rattlesnake creek. But for Nia, books, vaccines, a bridge to both worlds, worth the leap. Nostalgia tugged for pure bush, untrammeled, but progress whispered sweet, like opportunity knocking on a trailer door in Appalachia. The trek turned homeward, hearts buoyed. They hit the copy again, that granite sentinel site of Chaba's ordeal. Full circle, moon fat as fate. Camp pitched familiar, fire crackling welcome. But emotion crested, Lemma pulled Chaba aside, voice trembling. "I'm carrying again," she said, hand on belly. Joy exploded, another spark, life amid the wild. He whooped, lifting her gentle, dancing clumsy under stars. Tears mixed with laughs, that Hadza hope blazing supernova. The band celebrated days, feasts of stored meat, songs new and old. Juma gifted a carved python coils, twisting fierce to the unborn. Nia whispered secrets to her ma's tummy, "Be brave like Papa." Tuma toasted with wild berry brew. Tatsaro and the little warrior. Highs layered thick, family expanding, future brightening like neon on a Vegas strip. Yet in bliss, a low-shadowed gentle. Whispers of split, some bandmates weary of fences, eyeing village life. Tuma confessed one night, "The city calls, brother, clinics for my leg work steady." Chaba's gut twisted, loss and kin to concrete cages, sadness welled, empathy for choices hard as flint. "Go if it sings," he said, clasping arms, "but the bush'll miss your roar." Farewell brewed slow, no rage, just ache of paths diverging. The split came at dawn, tear-streaked but tender. Half-stayed, rooting deeper with the NGO's aid, a semi-permanent camp, solar lamps mingling with fires. Tuma's group trekked to the road, promises of visits like postcards from afar. Chaba watched them fade into haze, heart heavy but proud. "Life's a river," Lemma murmured, hand in his. "We ride the bends." Alone but not, the core band rebuilt. Chaba led with fresh fire, teaching Nia the python throw with softballs of cloth, drilling Juma on stars for navigation. Hope wove practical, a garden plot, seeds from traders, tubers sides wild roots. The land gave back, rains kind, game plenty. Even the python's skin, tan to belt, became talisman, past, Hmong kids. Months rolled, belly rounding on Lemma. Chaba's nights turned watchful, patrolling soft, bow ever ready. One eve, storm broke, lightning crackling like God's griddle, rain pounding hymns. Huddled close, they rode it, laughing at thunder's growl. "Like your snores," Lemma teased, peace settled deep as roots. Birth came under baobab arms, midwife's hands sure. A boy robust, cry-shattering quiet, named Keto for the stars. Chaba held him first, tiny fist clenching his thumb, wonder flooding like spring creek. "Welcome, little Tsaro," he whispered. The band gathered, gifts of beads and bows, songs risen to canopy. High transcendent life's cycle, unbroken. In quiet after, Chaba reflected. The python, not end but beginning. Its stripped illusion bared truth. We're fragile, fierce family, unbelievable survival, now just human, stubborn as a mule in Missouri mud. Lessons sank deep. Embrace the coil, danger, change, loss, squeeze back with love, laugh, legacy. And now as embers cool, picture Chaba under that endless sky, Keto nursing, Nia dreaming, Juma garden fire. The Hadza endure, voices risen soft against the wind. For a stateside, hustling commutes, backyard grills, holiday huddles, its mirror, grip tight, let go graceful. Chase your honey, dodge your pythons, hold your people close. Thanks for ridding this trail with me, y'all. If Chaba's grit stirs something in ya, drop a like, share your own brush with death below. Hit subscribe, more tailies from the wild heart common. Till next fire, keep that spark alive. Night.